Welcome back to another edition of New York Got Game. Dexter Henry Bryan Fonseca here. As the Knicks roll on trying to finish their West Coast trip. Brian, how you doing, man?
Doing well. Knicks are on a West Coast trip. We've been talking about the road wins, but somebody that they need in order to help tilt the scales of that, we're going to talk about extensively today. And he deserves it, honestly, because he's very important to this team.
Yeah, Knicks saw him return to the lineup against the Portland Trail Blazers earlier this week. We're talking about Josh Hart, and we're going to talk in this episode about why Josh Hart matters so much to the Knicks. You know, Brian, a lot of times we talked about in the preseason and the offseason, I should even say, before we got to the preseason, it was like, okay, who's the most important Knick or who's the second most important Knick? And you talk about value on a team, and sometimes, I'm not saying people forgot about things with Josh Hart, but sometimes, you know, Josh Hart now returned. He had to pop out and show. You know what I'm saying? He had to let people remember that, look, this is the impact. And we saw a lot of the impact when he was out recently with the injury. But sometimes you could just forget because you maybe take it for granted. You see all the things he does so well, and you kind of get used to it, right? I don't think you and I have, but I think a lot of what he does so well really came to the forefront when he was out.
I think a team like this, and really any contender, their glue guys are very important. And you see without him and without Deuce, who may also deserve one of these episodes, like you really see a difference. And when they're not out there, like it's not even just the on-off numbers, the plus-minus impact, the net rating when they're on, when they're off the floor, but it's just how the team looks when Josh Hart is there, specifically him, because that's who we're going to talk about today. On both ends, because that's the thing about being a glue guy. Yeah. Glue guys, you tend to really impact the game on both ends of the floor, offense and defense.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. I think sometimes you look at a guy like Josh Hart, and it's like, oh, yeah, you just look at him as glue guy, hustle guy.
Yeah.
You know, I want to put that. There's more to it than that, a little bit more to it than that. But before we get into that, and we have some things we want to look at how Josh Hart impacts this Knicks team and impacts the game, I want to look at some numbers behind Josh Hart and take a look at how he looked when he was out. So let's take a look at the numbers that we have for Josh Hart. And these are the numbers since entering the starting lineup. That was back on November 24th against the Brooklyn Nets. You see the record right there. Josh Hart, 13-3 in the starting lineup, 4-5 when he's out of the starting lineup. Obviously, a lot of those 8 games came when he was out with an injury. And the Knicks, you can see right here, these are just some simple counting stats, right? The points per game, 120.6, 115.8. Then you see the opposition points per game. You see that defense there too, right? That's the other thing you look at with him. So you talked about the fact that not only does he impact offense, but he also impacts defense. And then we saw the opposition turnovers there, pretty much the same, 12.8 when he's in the starting lineup, 12.4. So he has an impact on both ends here, and you can see those numbers really well for Josh Hart. But like I said, we're going to talk about some different things with Josh Hart. And we have 5 areas that I think Josh Hart undeniably impacts the game. There's no doubt about it that these are the ways that he impacts the game. First thing is something that you and I spoke about at the top of the season. I thought it was so important to go first. When we came into the season, we said, hey, is Josh Hart going to be willing to shoot when he's open? We saw a lot last year, Brian, and we're seeing it this year too, so I want to be very clear. We're still seeing this year. We saw so much last year of teams putting their center on Josh Hart, and we said, look, Josh Hart has got to make teams pay.
Right.
He's got to be willing to shoot the open 3. Now, here's what also added to that at the top of this year. We also were concerned about injury to his finger. How is that going to impact the shooting? Nobody's been talking about that. When's the last time you heard somebody talk about Josh Hart's finger? I haven't heard it. It hasn't been brought up. You know why? Because he's been shooting pretty well. He's been taking the shots and making them. I think his willingness just to shoot, not just threes, but the willingness to just shoot overall and not hesitate is so important to this Knicks offense. Do you agree?
Absolutely. So we talked about some numbers probably a couple weeks ago. Now we have them updated, obviously, because Josh Hart's played again, and now that he's back. The three-point attempt rate is something that we've brought up on this show multiple times.
Yep.
And the three-point attempt rate is the highest for his career since the 2020-2021 season at 43. So nearly half of his shots are coming from the perimeter. And then you also have 6.5 threes per 100 possessions. Those are attempts. That's also his most since that range. And he's, in terms of, that's just the attempts. Then in terms of makes, he's making 40% of threes, which is a big thing. That's a career high. If that continues, hats off to him, because not a lot of people probably project Josh Hart to be a 40% three-point shooter. But he is doing that. He's taking them without hesitation a lot of different times. There are a couple of instances where sometimes you may have to, convince him to take the three, where the defender's sagging off, and then Karl-Anthony Towns comes and sets a screen. The defender is going to go under the screen. We saw this with Denny Avdia against the Portland Trailblazers, for example, and then he takes a three anyway, but it goes in. So if that continues to happen, and if Josh Hart is able to convince teams, hey, I'm a legit 40% from three, guess what's going to happen in the playoffs? They're going to try to sag off of him still and dare him to do it. And if he does make them pay, that's going to make the offense so much better, because now you have somebody else you have to account for. And guess what's that going to open up? Driving lanes.
There you go.
For Josh Hart. We're going to talk about the assists and the passing in a little bit, but his connectivity, because I think he plays so well off of so many guys on this roster, that the shooting is just one element of this, but I think it sets up a whole lot else.
Yeah, and you look at the overall shooting, the effective field goal percentage in terms of him shooting. He's shooting 58.6% now. These stats, according to Cleaning the Glass, where I like to look at him relative to his position. This is comparing him to other wings, because that's what he's listed as on Cleaning the Glass, as a wing.
Definitely.
And a 6'4" wing. 78th percentile in effective field goal percentage shooting. That's really good.
Real good.
That's really, really good. Now, a lot of that happens, it's the shot quality that he's taking. So in the diet, if you want to say, he's taking more threes than before. You talked about the over 6 attempts, a lot of open threes, right? He's taking a lot of that. His short mid-range shots, 19% of his shots are those. Long mid-range, which you don't want a lot of those, obviously, only 7% in his shot diet. He's, 34% of his shots are coming at the rim. So he's going at the rim, or he's giving you 40% of his shots from three. So that's 74% of his shots are coming from the areas that you would like. And then we know how good he is at finishing as well, too, and being able to draw fouls. That's the other key and we'll get into more of that when we talk about what he can do in transition. But that is part of the key for Josh Hart. And when you look at him, when you look at the video of him, right, when you're looking at the video of him where he's just able to take these threes, you saw it even in the game of him returning against Portland, just how his willingness to take the three it mattered so much for the Knicks, right? It just mattered so much that he was willing to take the three. And if he does that, it really opens up everything for him, right? And it's been like this all season. It wasn't just a Portland game. We've seen the ability of him to knock down the three-pointer. And then the other thing for me is when you take the three, the defense has to respect it. So what does that do? It opens up driving lanes for him. And even when he gets the ball late in the shot clock, he still has the ability to put it on the floor and get a quality shot, right? So you've got all those things from him, and that's the real impact of Josh Hart. Because when the Knicks didn't have him in the starting line, if we would just look at the 8-game stretch when he was out, offense, it wasn't terrible or anything, because the Knicks' offense is so good. They're so offensively talented, but it didn't feel the same.
Yeah. Yeah, you could argue he's the best connector on your roster because of that driving ability. Now, if he shoots a three and he makes a three, that's great.
Right.
But if he drives, you feel really comfortable with the ball in Josh Hart's hands if he's driving, because, one, he can finish. That's step one there. Whether it's a floater, whether it's at the rim, that he can finish through contact. That he can draw contact. He's not shooting a ton of free throws this year. I feel like he can get more, but part of that is also because he's shooting more from the perimeter, but he knows how to draw contact. The other thing is he's been very good about finding other guys, like be it in a dunker spot, near the rim, can pass out to shooters. The assists, we're going to talk about that a little bit. I don't want to step on it too much, but as a connector, getting hockey assists, so to speak, too. Like, he's been great at those things as well. So you're comfortable with him driving off of the fake because of what he can do with the ball. Whereas you have some other guys, not just on the team, but in the league, you have some other wings where as soon as they fake and drive, you're like, what is this going to be? It becomes an event.
An adventure. I'll say that. What's going to be?
Yeah, and you trust in the decision-making that Josh Hart's going to have ultimately. And he's earned that because of what he can do with the ball and because of his connectivity and just making other guys better.
Yeah, and if he continues to shoot at the rate that we're seeing him shoot at, this is going to bode well for the Knicks when it matters in the playoffs. And one other stat, before we move off to shooting, that I want to look at, Josh Hart's points per shot attempt, guys, okay? So just want to explain it to you. That is the total points scored per 100 shot attempts, right? That's field goal attempts or trips to the line, including when fouled in the bonus. So that counts as well, too. His rating for that is 123.6. That is in the 79th percentile. So what that tells you right now is he's being a really efficient offensive player when he puts the ball up or is trying to get fouled on shot attempts. And I'll get to that later about how he's able to draw fouls. He's really efficient and good for this Knicks team. He's really impacting their offense. So that's just one of the ways when you talk about shooting where Josh Hart is so impactful for the Knicks. I want to keep it on offense here, Brian.
Yeah.
Because one of the other things that I noticed this so much when he was out for the 8 games with injury, pushing the pace.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm putting 2 things in this category, people. Pushing the pace and attacking the rim. And you're going to see some overlap, especially when we show video and stuff. You're going to see some overlap in what we talk about here. When Josh Hart pushes the pace, especially in transition, a lot of times he helps in terms of getting really good shots at the rim or getting to the line. He's been really good at that. And the pace for the Knicks, Mike Brown talked about this in a couple games. I remember him talking about this after the loss to Philadelphia, the most recent loss to Philadelphia of the 2. And he said, look, we got to get back to our pace being better. And you saw when Josh Hart returned against Portland, how the pace changed. And Josh Hart can set the pace in multiple ways. And we'll get into the playmaking too, whether it's, Jalen Brunson gets blitzed and he gets the ball and he pushes towards the rim or off of a rebound, right? Sometimes even off makes. You'll see him able to do that as well, too. So Josh Hart really pushes the pace for this team, and there's no better way to me that you see how he pushes the pace, other than when you look at what he does in transition and how this team looks in transition, right? So when you look at transition efficiency for this Knicks team, Brian, and that's basically how many points did the Knicks score per 100 transition plays? I have 2 stats for you people. And then also, how many points do they score per 100 possessions? The Knicks are plus 9.6 points per 100 transition plays when Josh Hart is on the floor.
Great.
That is in the 78th percentile. Really good. Again, really damn good. Again. Mm-hmm. Now, if you take this to per 100 possessions, not 100 plays, right? So 100 possessions, just offensively within transition, they're plus 1.7 with Hart on the court. That's in the 86th percentile. So almost about a bucket per possession is what you're getting with Josh Hart on the floor if the ball is going towards in transition when he pushes it. I think he's so key when he has the ball in transition. Knicks fans have to feel good when he has the ball. You feel like he's gonna make a good decision. Either gonna pass the ball, he's gonna score, right? Maybe he scores and he gets fouled.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good things that happen for Josh Hart when he gets the ball in transition.
So he's taken fewer 2s this year, but he's still very effective from 2, very effective at the rim in general. He is so far this season between basically at the rim 3 feet and in, he's still 70% just about for a guard, for a wing, which is, that's good, basically. From 3 to 10 feet, he's at almost the highest of his career, 53% from that range. That's like the floater sort of range. Like we just played a clip from the Blazers game where he's on the dribble drive, he fakes a 3, he dribble drives, he gets to that spot. There's basically the paint, puts up a floater. It kind of dies on the back of a rim and rolls in. But look, you won't get a good roll if you don't shoot. So Josh Hart, he's able to do that there. So you're seeing the effectiveness. Even though he's taking fewer 2s, you're seeing the effectiveness. And this is what's really contributing to his efficiency. Because even though he's taking more 3s, and that's obviously going to help juice some of the numbers, the fact that he's making the 3s is the most important. But from transition also, he's able to attack the basket effectively, but he's able to create like good opportunities for his team. And the assist numbers. Again, I don't want to step on it because we're going to get to the passing, but I can't stress that enough. Like that's the other thing here that really, because transition, he's also driving the ball with his head up every single time because he's looking to set up other guys.
I'm so glad you brought that
I'll
up.
get into the assist percentage and things of that nature in a bit, but that's the other key of connectivity and making guys better is because when he is driving, when he gets the rebound and he's going to rebound and run, and you trust Josh Hart to do that because that's an element of his game that you love, you can also trust, like, hey, he'll know where the corner shooter is going to be. As we've talked about the offense numerous times this year, and we're going to continue to talk about it, and guys knowing where they're supposed to be in terms of their spots. Like, he knows, I'm going to have a corner shooter here, I'm going to have a corner shooter here, I'm going to have somebody cutting down the lane. Like, he knows ahead of time where all these guys are going to be. So he's able to hit them in the right spots.
Yeah, head is always up on transition. And when you look at the film this season of him in transition, right? Look, a lot of it's not going to look that different from last season, right? Like, when you see Josh Hart in transition, your head is always up, like you said. He can find shooters, right? And you love to see that. It's always up, and you trust him so much as a playmaker. Or, the other thing is he can make that decision to take it all the way to the rack by himself. And when he does that, sometimes really good things happen, right? Like, he might be able to draw a foul as well, too. And he'll take on bigger guys. And because defenders have to actually respect his shot-making ability at the rim, right? That sometimes opens up things for other guys in terms of being able to dump it off, get passes, and have other guys score. So it really keeps the offense flowing in that way. And because he's so good shooting at the rim, we talked about his shooting, right? His and one percentage. You know how good his and one percentage is? And we're not talking about the old street win and one mixtapes, but his and one percentage, man. It's right. Just to be clear, so everybody knows, that's what percentage of shooting fouls drawn did Josh Hart also make the shot on, right? So get the bucket and the foul. 44.8% is his and one percentage.
Definitely above league average.
No, that's way above league average.
Way above league average.
That is in the 94th percentile.
Sounds right.
Okay? Yeah. This is obviously also compared to other wings in the league, right? Yeah. This is comparative. All stats according to Cleaning the Glass from me. You want to know that? Where do you think that ranks in his career in terms of rate?
Second.
The highest rate of his career. 44.8%.
First must be last year.
And when?
First must be last year.
You're correct.
A lot of these similar numbers that he's thriving in, like you saw the jump last season. And obviously the Knicks have gotten the best version of Josh Hart so far, although there's a really good, if you look at the numbers, you look through the numbers, there's a really good stint in Portland. That was when he just got there. That was really problematic.
No, I'm sorry. I want to correct myself. It was not last year. Last year, his and one rate was only 27.5%.
Really?
Yes. The highest of his career before that, you talked about it.
New Orleans?
No, it is that stint in Portland, at least as part of the season. The stint in Portland when he got traded to Portland during the 21-22 season from the Pelicans.
That's the one where a lot of his numbers are juiced. Those 13 games that he had were pretty effective.
13 games, 41.9% and one percentage. Now, to start that 22-23 season before he got traded to the Knicks, it was 33.9, which is really good. I just want to know for everybody, just even when I said that this wasn't the highest, that 41.9 was in the 86th percentile that year. The 33.9 was in the 87th percentile that year. But what he's doing now is elite.
Better than that.
There's better than that. This is in the 94th percentile. Like, this is among his peers of wings. He's elite at this. Mm-hmm. So when you have a player like that with that kind of and one percentage in transition, I mean, that's what you want to do. You want to score. You want to get easy buckets. You want to get to the line. And he's hitting threes at a 40% clip. Now you really understand what the Knicks were missing with him. And I know we're talking a lot of offense. We will get to defense too. We're talking a lot of offense, but this just gives you a taste of what they were missing with him. Now, Brian's been teasing this, and I want to get to it. Josh Hart as a playmaker is pretty damn dope, okay? Josh Hart is a good secondary playmaker, particularly when the ball gets out of Jalen Brunson's hands. He's sort of that release valve. He can have a lot of things happen when you get in 4-and-3 actions. Jalen Brunson gets blitzed. A lot of the good things happen when Josh Hart has it. And when they didn't have that during that 8-game stretch, Brian, you saw them struggle at times, especially when Brunson got blitzed, especially against some good defensive teams. Would you like some other guys to step up, like a Mikal Bridges? Sure. But they're really not as good as Josh Hart is at that. The playmaking for Josh Hart, I think sometimes of all people we focus on, and we talked about shots at the top, B, but the playmaking, to me, sometimes I might actually value this the highest.
Yeah.
because it really ties into that connectivity you're talking about. What do you like about Josh Hart's playmaking that you think is so valuable?
First of all, it's the willingness from a wing spot, right? Like it's the willingness to do this as a non-point guard. Let me ask you this. In terms of assist percentage, and for people who don't know, assist percentage is basically the estimate, this is per Basketball Reference, an estimate of the percentage of a teammate's field goals that a player assisted while they were on the floor. So the amount of, So
I know, and I'm looking this, I got some stats from Cleaning the Glass, and I have that here, which takes out garbage time. I know it's 22%.
Where do you think he is on the team?
So I see. So that's technically a different stat than what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Where do you think he ranks on the team in assist percentage? It is 22, but where do you think that is on the team?
Okay, so where it is on the team? I mean, now I think about it, he might be first.
No, it's not. No. The point guards are usually first, but he's third. He's behind. He's only behind Jalen Brunson and Tyler Kolek. Jalen Brunson's at about 30%.
Okay.
And Tyler Kolek is at 28.4% now.
That makes sense.
McCullough is on Josh Hart's ass. So Josh Hart Jr. is right there at 22.4. Josh Hart's at 22.7. Listen, for a wing, that's really good.
It's great.
The other thing to keep in mind is this. He's third in assists per 100 possessions as well on this team. But it's a career-high number at 8.2. Yeah. Assists per 100 possessions at 8 for a wing who's not a point guard, who is not going to be mistaken for a point guard. It's really good. And a lot of it is what we're talking about in transition because he's dribbling with his head up. He's finding, cutters as well, like not just shooters, cutters like Mikal Bridges. One of the things that Mikal Bridges doesn't piss you guys off at is when he cuts to the rim and makes a layup. And Mikal Bridges is really, really good at cutting. Some of the other things people have issues with, but they have a great sort of chemistry. Yeah. They have a great chemistry when it comes to that. And Josh Hart's someone who's always looking for cutters, not just the shooters. So there's that piece of it as well. But also, it's not even just a fast break or transition thing because you can see this in sets. There's a couple of different times in the Portland game, and you've seen this throughout the year a little bit. But the offense is stagnant. You can feel it. You can see it. We even have a clip that you'll see in a little bit. But the offense stagnates. He flashes to the middle of the paint where nobody's there from Portland's defense. Nobody's on this side. He flashes to the middle, and it breaks down the entire Portland defense because now it's like, oh, shit. So he gets the ball in the middle. Karl-Anthony Towns is in the paint, like right underneath the basket and trying to avoid a 3-second call, obviously. And then you have Jalen Brunson on the perimeter. Josh Hart has any number of things you could do. I believe he has a shooter on the corner as well. So he ends up finding Karl-Anthony Towns on this play. They get a bucket inside because he flashes to the middle and exposes that spot. He's another guy that he just moves without the ball very effectively. And you need that in today's NBA because there are a lot of dudes who are only effective with the ball. Josh Hart does not need the ball to be effective. So he can flash to the middle. He can be that connector. He can be like, all right, I'll get the ball from Brunson here, and I can dish it to Karl-Anthony Towns down there. Karl-Anthony Towns could finish, or he can get double team, draw double team. I'm here if that happens, and I could hit the floater from inside the free throw line, or the double team can come, and then Karl-Anthony Towns could find the shooter. Maybe it's OG Anunoby, or maybe it's Mikal Bridges on the corner. Like, there's so many options because of what he can do.
That is crazy. I mean, it should, like, when you're third on the team in assist percentage, that's really good. I talked about that 22%. And look, all this stuff, like when you see it, like on film, when you see the film and you watch it, it really pops out because you just see how easy he's able to find guys. Even if it's the hockey assist, is making the read for the first guy to get to the next guy. And there you see that nice pass that Brian was talking about to Cat there, right? It's just always having a heads up and looking for the guy. And some of this with the Knicks do a fantastic job. Guys know how to relocate to their spots. We've talked about this with Mitchell Robinson. And this is probably one of my favorite dimes of the whole season from Josh Hart that we see. And, Mikal Bridges, you talked about how good his cutting is. But we talk about Mitchell Robinson and how important it is that he always knows where guys are. But the Knicks do a fantastic, fantastic job of relocating to their spots. You gave me a stat with assists. You gave me 2 stats, good stats, with assists. Let's talk about dropping dimes. How about assist usage, Brian? Okay.
That's interesting.
Now, that is assist rate compared to usage rate.
Yeah.
So how often did a player, Josh Hart in this case, get an assist given how much that they have the ball? Josh Hart does have the ball in his hands a little bit of time. So, again, according to Cleaning the Glass, all comparative to other wings, his assist usage rate is 1.19. That is in the, you know what? It's in the 95th percentile. Again, this is elite
Yeah.
for his position. 95th percentile. Where do you think that rate ranks in his career?
I'd be surprised if that's not first. That has to be first.
It's second. It's actually second. It's actually the second highest
Really?
assist rate of his career. Assist usage rate of his career.
Damn, Josh.
It's the second one. The highest that he had, what do you think the highest was?
2 years ago.
Last season.
Damn, I was gonna say that.
He's not far off. Last year, obviously in the 77 games, 1.23. That is in the 98th percentile.
Yeah, that had to be 90.
Josh Hart has not been,
Ridiculous.
when at least playing 41 games with a team, he has not been below the 95th percentile in this category since the 2020-21 season with New Orleans.
New Orleans, yeah, he was good that year.
He was in the 84th percentile then. He's been elite in this category for 5 seasons now.
And this is for somebody who's 7th just in straight up usage rate on the team.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he is usage.
Right. That's a great point. Where his usage is on the team. He's 7th in usage.
But this ties into the efficiency that we've been talking about. Like, he's making the most out of possessions in a way that not many Knicks have been. That's not to really knock the rest of the team.
It's just facts.
Yeah, it's just the efficiency on both ends of the floor. We're gonna get to defense in a second, but his usage even straight up is 7th, and he's producing 95th percentile, 90th percentile, 86th percentile. Like, that's the kind of production he's giving you. And that's important. Like, as a connector, you don't expect the usage to be much higher. And frankly, I don't know how many people expected Josh Hart to be this season, because I think a lot of people were, they had a sour taste after the playoffs. They were like, oh, they should trade him. He was doing dumb shit in the playoffs. He might be falling off a cliff because of the health things. And then we came into the season being like, he's probably the guy that's going to take a big step back in minutes. And it looked that way in the beginning. And then they were like, you know what, Josh, we need to put you in the starting lineup. And he started doing Josh Hart shit again, basically.
Yeah.
And now he's doing it at a more elite level. For somebody who's, again, behind Brunson, Cat, Jordan Clarkson, OG, Tyler Kolek, and Diawara in usage. Diawara on a limited sample size. But still, like, he's not even in the top 5 in usage on his own team.
And yet his assist usage rate is absolutely positively elite. Now, speaking of elite, got 2 more things. We're going to shift over to defense now. Well, this is part defense, part can be sometimes offense too. Yeah. We're going to talk about rebounding, because rebounding is essential. You finish a defensive possession with a rebound. Offensive rebounds can also help you keep possessions alive. Josh Hart, people, is an elite with a capital E rebounder.
Yeah.
I would argue, Brian, I know you like to root for the people who are shorter. I would argue that he is pound for pound the best rebounder in the NBA.
Pound for pound. That's good.
Yo,
as the boxing guy here.
Pound for pound,
fantastic.
He's the best rebounder in the NBA. Like in terms of what he does at his size at 6'4",
yeah,
and the way he can crash the boards and the way he can wreak havoc on the boards, it's crazy. I got some stats for the people as we look at here, because Josh Hart, whether it's on the offensive glass,
boxing out 7-foot Miles Turner there.
Yeah,
by the way.
And here's the thing. A lot of the overlap you're going to see here, people, because when Josh Hart gets rebounds, it all starts the same stuff we've been talking about. He'll start pushing the pace on the break. He'll take it all the way to the rim and finish. All the stuff happens off of rebounds in the way that you like. He'll crash the board for an offensive rebound, right? Anytime, this is why he's such a connector, and the word Brian keeps using. Everything off the rebound is all the stuff we've already talked about.
Right. Head is up. Kolek is in the corner. Great. That's where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Good. Makes a shot. Like, he's the gluest glue guy on the team.
I like that. The gluest glue guy, right? And you see that. Look at that. He's boxing out bigger guys. He's running the break and gets a tip in. You saw it in the NBA Cup game against Toronto.
Yeah.
He's doing all this stuff. He's 6'4". You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm talking about. Pound for pound, the best rebounder in the game.
He's the middleweight champion of rebounding in the NBA.
I like that. We can rock with that, right? So you say, okay, yeah, I've seen Josh Hart have big rebounding games. We saw him set the Knicks record for triple doubles last year.
Oh, that's
you've seen all that. We get that, right? So let's put some numbers to it. Couple stuff I like to look at. Offensive rebounding field goal percentage. What that looks at is what percentage of the Knicks' missed field goals did Josh Hart rebound? 5.7% for Josh Hart. That is in the 86th percentile. Again, we're talking about elite rebounding. And that's offensive rebounds. Defensive rebounding. Okay? And Brian, I have a question for you after this. So if it's the same as offensive rebound, what percentage of the Knicks' missed field goals did he rebound, right? Excuse me, the opponent's missed field goals, because defensive rebound, not the Knicks' missed field goals.
Right.
The opponent's missed field goals, did he rebound? 20.1% is the number for Josh Hart. What percentile do you think that is in?
92.
You are wrong, sir. I'll give you another guess.
98?
You are wrong, sir. It is in the 100th percentile. He is he is the best of the best at this.
Yeah.
Comparative to his first position. Once again, he is in the 100th percentile.
I have an even simpler way to look at this, too.
Okay?
Just from a rebounding standpoint.
I have one more
Yes.
rebounding stat for the people that I think is dope with Josh Hart.
Mm-hmm.
Defensive rebounding free throws. So what percentage of opponents' live ball missed free throws did Josh Hart rebound? 29.2%. That is a ridiculous number at 6'4". That is in the 88th percentile. He is a rebounding savant.
Here's the
for
thing.
his size.
Here's the thing people need to realize as you're reading this off. When you're mentioning the 88th percentile, like the top 12 percentile higher than him, they're all going to be centers. These aren't wings. These aren't like other wings. They're all going to be centers and power forwards.
Or bigger wings, because
but
the ones I'm reading are relative to his position, but there are bigger wings.
But there are a lot of wings who play center now in small ball lineups. Like, for example, Jakob Poeltl got hurt for the Toronto Raptors. And they're like, okay, Colin Murray-Boyles and Sandro Mamukelashvili, both of you guys are going to start. Or if Sandro goes to the bench, somebody else will start. Ochai Agbaji, and then they'll just go smaller because they have Scotty Barnes too. Like, there are other guys who are 6'6" and 6'7". I'm not going to do the thing.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do
that. Who spot minutes?
Your hands are right in the position for it, though. Your hands are right in the position for it.
I talk with my hands.
Okay.
I talk with my hands.
We'll blame it on the culture.
But
you said everybody saw it. Brian's hands were like this. That's all I'm gonna say. Everybody saw it. His hands were. He was ready. I'm not gonna do it, but he seemed like he was ready.
But that's the thing. It's like he doesn't play the center position. You know what I mean? Like there are not lineups where he's playing center. There are lineups where some of his 6'7", 6'8" contemporaries are playing center. And just an easier way to outline this for people. Rebounds per 100 possessions, just straight up rebounds per 100 possessions. He is at 12.6. And if you look at everyone else, by the way, tied with Jericho Sims. Once a Knick, always a Knick. If you look at everyone else ahead of him, they all play center pretty much. Mm-hmm. Nikola Jokic, Karl-Anthony Towns, Steven Adams, Khalil Ware, Bam Adebayo, Jared Allen. This isn't in any particular order. I'm just shouting out names. Luke Cornett, Jalen Johnson, Thomas Bryant, Alex Sarr. Like all of these guys, everyone I've mentioned, 6'9", 7 feet, all play the center position. And then you get to Josh Hart at 12.6, and then you have to work a while to find another true wing after that. Probably like Jordan Walsh, Scotty Barnes. That's where you're getting to that point. But again, some of the Jordan Walsh plays minutes at the 4 for the Celtics. Scotty Barnes plays all over the place, but he can guard other centers, like certain other centers in the NBA. And then just on the team, if you're looking at the rebounding metrics, he's generally going to be only behind like Cat and Mitchell Robinson, maybe Huck Porty if it's an efficiency thing, depending on what the rebounds are. He's third in rebounding percentage in his career right now. He's the third best rebounding percentage of his career at 14.2, which is also fourth on the team. And on the team, the only guys ahead of him are their bigs.
Yeah, that tells a story there about how elite he is. Best pound-for-pound rebounder in the league. Would you call him the middleweight champion of rebounding?
Middleweight champion of rebounding.
I'm sticking with it. I mean, listen, all the stuff we're talking about with Josh Hart, Please let us know in the comments what you think is the most important or valuable skill that he brings to the table, because
that's
I
a
think you
great
can
question.
make an argument for any of these. Like, I really feel like you can make an argument for any of these.
We should end with that. Like, we should end with which one we think is actually.
All right, I'm not sure. Look, right now we got one more thing to go through. I'm not sure that I have the answer to the question, but Brian said I have to find the answer.
I think we should. That'd be fun.
So, okay, we're going to try to find an answer at the end. Last thing we're going to talk about. Brian loves this. It's defense.
Yes.
Now, Josh Hart last season, Brian, I thought had a down year defensively. I do not feel like it was one of his best defensive seasons of his career. I think he's been much better this season. Now, the Knicks defense, we'd still like to see that get a little bit better. It struggled, but hey, it looked terrible when he was not on the floor during the 8 games that he was out due to injury. And you saw the stats that we had brought up before. Since he had entered the starting lineup, the Knicks record with him, Knicks record without him, you saw the defense with him and without him.
Yeah.
Not good at all whatsoever. Look, you can look at the counting stats. You can look at steals. You can look at blocks. You can look at all that. But I really look at the impact, the on and off of what happens when he's on the floor offensively and defensively, right? But since steals, he's a guy who can play in the passing lanes. Sometimes pretty good. Steal percentage. So how many steals did the player get per team play?
Right.
1.9%. 80th percentile. Pretty good.
Real good.
Pretty good.
Real good.
As Larry David used to say.
Yeah.
Right? It's pretty good in that. So you like what he's able to do in terms of defense, right? He's not a big shot blocker, only 0.5% in block percentage, right? He's not a guy that he's, mid in terms of fouls. He uses his fouls. He doesn't foul a ton, but he uses it pretty well. But Josh Hart does impact the team defensively. There's no doubt about his impact. What stands out to you about the way he's able to impact this team defensively? Because I'll tell you what, they looked a lot better when he came back defensively than they did without him, and especially late in games where the Knicks defense has not looked good.
I think on a team with Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns, the most important thing is switching. And the most important thing is being versatile. Josh Hart is both of those things because you can comfortably throw him on almost every position. There are some centers that he can maybe guard. Like, I honestly, we saw the clip with Miles Turner earlier. If you had him on Miles Turner, I kind of get it because Miles Turner generally, especially now, he's going to want to hang out there from 3 and shoot. And if he shoots over Josh Hart and makes one, it's okay. It's whatever. But Josh Hart also has the opportunity to crash the boards from there. But ultimately, it's just a switchability. Like, you could throw him on so many different types of players. Ball handlers, straight-up wings, knockdown shooters, guys who are going to be actively moving without the ball, cutting, moving off screens, pin downs. Like, Josh Hart is going to be able to track some of those guys as well. And you would hope and you would feel good about his chances of not getting lost there, like some other guys could get lost potentially in the action. One of the other more simpler things, if you just want to look at defensive impact.
Yep.
Now, I'll preface this by saying, as somebody who loves defense, we still, as a basketball community, and I know there are a whole bunch of websites that have popped up that are doing better and better at tracking data, but we still don't have a great way to really measure defense, especially for the wings. We've gotten good at it with the bigs to some degree, more so with bigs who stay in the paint, not bigs who switch, because bigs are honestly overvalued by a lot of metrics. But we still don't have great defensive metrics to sort of measure how effective somebody is, other than when you find stats like, hey, this person was 3 and 11 when guarded by this person, 3 of 11 when guarded by this person. Sometimes that still works.
Right.
But I'll say this. Josh Hart leading the team in defensive box plus minus is probably not an accident at 1.6. Now, that's not counting 44 minutes of Pacome Dadier in which he's somehow 2.4. But
I might look past that or call it an anomaly.
But
whatever you want to do.
1.6 for Josh Hart leading the team in defensive box plus minus, and also in straight up box plus minus. He's third on the team after Mikal Bridges and Jalen Brunson. No stat is perfect, but it's another microcosm of what we're talking about, where if you just look at any number, Josh Hart is going to be up there in a lot of them for the Knicks. And if you, more importantly, if you just watch the games, you really get a sense of all the things he can do and what we're talking about. Like, there were Knicks fans asking us, could he be an all-star at some point?
Yeah.
More so last season, because this year he didn't even enter as a starter. But he's one of those role players, and I've joked about this before, like, if he were to put together a season where he averaged 15, 9, and 5, then yeah, like, back in the days, he'd probably be an all-star. But now the numbers are so outrageous where it's probably not going to be the case.
Probably not, right? But, like, when you all-star or not, right?
All-star glue guy. He's an all-star glue guy. Yeah.
Still calling him pound for pound, best rebounder in the league. All-star or not, he's a very impactful player for this Knicks team, and I think Knicks fans got a real taste of that. You know, if you didn't think he was before, I think you really saw when he was out for those 8 games just how impactful he was, not just to the offense, man, but also defensively, and probably even more so importantly, that just how he was. And when you look at his defense, you know, you just look at it, he's had an impact all season. The way he can just play the passing lanes, that is absolutely amazing, right? And again, what does he do? Turns it into a transition bucket, right? See, it's all connected with Josh Hart. The ability to guard and transition there without fouling, that is really impressive as well, too. You know, knocking the ball away. And it's like, if he gets the ball towards the front court and he's there, it's a one-man fast break. And that usually goes pretty well for the Knicks. And also, it could be a good help defender as you see him able to get a block. You know, his
against 7-foot Ryan Kalkbrenner. Might be 7'1" Ryan Kalkbrenner,
right,
by the way.
And, you know, can guard against, you know, bigger players.
Bobby Portis, 6'11".
Your boy Bobby Portis. Mm-hmm. And then you see what does that happen? Able to get an and one. And we talked about how elite that and one percentage is. Yeah. So this is a guy that just impacts winning all around. And fans really have to see. It's not, you know, why we decided to have this discussion, because I feel like it's so timely with his return, and we're obviously recording this before the Knicks played their game, the third game of their road trip against Sacramento, but it's so important with his return to this lineup. So not only can you just hear the numbers and look at the numbers and understand what they mean, but this is why you have to, you know, I always say it's the eye test with the numbers. You know, are the numbers kind of lining up with what your eyes are seeing?
Yeah.
And I think if you've watched the Josh Hart since he became a New York Knick and his impact,
yeah,
you can understand exactly how impactful he is. You can see energy, but then sometimes there's a little bit more in the details with the numbers, right? It's a little bit more when you look back at it. Now, I'm going to close on this because we got to answer your question. We just talked about 5 things here. We just talked about Josh Hart's willingness to take the open shot. Mm-hmm. We talked about him pushing the pace and attacking the rim. We talked about his dopeness as a playmaker, his amazingness as an elite rebounder, and his on-ball and help defense. Which one is the most important quality to the Knicks' success in 2026? What do you say?
Well, if you're putting it that way, I actually think it's the willingness to take the open shot, which I kind of think you're going to agree with that, because that's something that you were really hitting hard before the season started.
Yeah.
Because I'll explain why real quick. The rebounding, you don't take it for granted, but you know it's there.
Yep.
Like, you just know he's going to do that. Yep. That's part of the package. That's why y'all love him. The defense, similarly. Like, you know it's there. The playmaking, while I think it's been better, there's been playmaking. Like, he's been a good playmaker throughout his Knicks career. And this year, it just you can see that it's different, especially with this newer offense with Mike Brown. He's able to showcase more of that because of the way that they're doing things now. And then the pushing the pace and attacking the rim, like he was lead at that even last year, like as we documented during the season. The willingness to take the open shot, though, I'm not going to say it's brand new, but that's the thing that's probably changed the most. And ultimately, it's going to make him, and by extension, the team, harder to guard in the playoffs and in these close games. So to me, I think that's what's most important out of all 5 of these, honestly, amazing glue guy qualities.
I agree. It's because it was a question mark.
Yeah.
For us coming into the season. How's Josh Hart going to shoot? How's the shooting going to be? How is his finger? Is he going to be willing to take the shot? We talked in the offseason, the attempts had to go up. They have gone up. They're over 6 a game now. From 3, we're talking about. You got to keep defenses honest. And now he's seemed to have gained his confidence once it started going down from early in the season. And just how does that rise? what made the 3-point shooting drop off a little bit? Is there a world in which it gets down to like 38%? Sure.
That's still great.
That's still really good. You will sign for that if I told you Josh Hart from shooting just under 34% last year would have went up to 38, we all would have signed for it.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing, is the willingness to take it, because we've seen times for Josh Hart where the confidence has waned and then he hasn't had it. I felt like you saw it a lot last year, but I think as he's become more comfortable in Mike Brown's offense, the other stuff I'm with you, it's a given, and the other stuff I feel like we know he's good at. But right now, if he's feeling good with the ball going through the net and he's willing to take the shot when teams put centers on them and he can make them pay, that's huge for the Knicks in playoffs, because at some point teams are going to have to say, yo, we can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
We can't play this way anymore. And I think the less they're able to do that is the better. A strong number 2 for me is playmaking, because the playmaking has gotten better. I think it's gotten better. And I just think that he truly understands his role, what to do, especially when Jalen Brunson's blitzed. And teams are willing to take the ball out of Jalen Brunson's hands, particularly when he's hot. But when you got a release valve guy like Josh Hart who gets in 4-on-3s and knows what to do, you trust that he's going to make the right play. You trust that he's going to make the right play. So, hey, I understand some people were down on Josh Hart through the playoffs last year. He did not have a good overall postseason run. We were straight up about this. But his impact on his team this year, it's been pretty damn good. Let us know what you think. What is the most important of these 5 qualities to the Knicks with Josh Hart? Is there something we miss? Something else that we should have talked about that makes him so valuable to the Knicks? Let us know in the comments why you thought he mattered so much to the Knicks this year, and let us know how much you missed him while he was gone. You can let us know that too. Josh Hart definitely was missed by the Knicks, and we'll be intrigued to see what his impact continues to be as he's now back in the lineup. If he continues to stay in the starting lineup, we will see more of that. That's going to do it for this edition of New York Got Game. Here's Bryan Fonseca. He won't do 6'7" or move his hands like that, but he also knows who's the best pound-for-pound rebounder in the NBA. I'm Dexter Henry. We'll catch you next time on another edition of New York Got Game.
And thanks for watching New York Got Game. Boom shakalaka.